Hey Raiders fans, it's time to dive deep into the latest shakeups with our silver and black, because things are moving fast and the roster is shaping up in ways that could redefine this season. Let's start at the most talked about position, quarterback. The Raiders have been making waves recently, and the most significant move has to be the acquisition of Kenny Pickett. This trade wasn't cheap, at least in terms of draft capital, but it makes a ton of sense strategically. A backup quarterback isn't just a luxury. It's insurance for a team that has serious championship aspirations. Pickett brings a level of consistency and poise that the Raiders were lacking behind the starter. And the hope is that this staff, from Pete Carroll to John Spytek, and even Greg Olson, can continue their track record of developing quarterbacks into legitimate stars. Historically, this coaching group has turned overlooked players into first-round talent, and now they have the chance to do it again. With Pickett in the mix, the tough reality is that Aiden O'Connell's time with the Raiders appears to be over. Injuries and development timelines mean the team likely won't keep him on the roster long-term. Instead, they're expected to reach an injury settlement, allowing him to test the waters elsewhere. It's a harsh business, but every decision here is calculated to maximize the roster's competitiveness and flexibility. Moving over to the running backs, the team has already made a cut, sending Chris Collier out of town. That leaves the group in a bit of a flux, but the leaders are clear. Ashton Gentry and Zamir White have earned their spots at the top, and the way White performed in the final preseason games earned him the nickname Zeus from some fans, and honestly, it stuck. The Raiders also need versatility in the backfield, so keeping players like Raheem Mostert for his pass-catching ability makes sense. Meanwhile, Dylan Lai offers that extra edge on special teams, which could be a deciding factor when the numbers get tight. The Raiders clearly value balance, offense production combined with special teams contributions, when finalizing this roster. The wide receiver room has drawn plenty of attention, particularly with the signing of Amari Cooper. This one-year deal is a calculated move that strengthens the passing game without committing to long-term financial risk. Cooper's presence could shake up the depth chart, but it doesn't necessarily signal the end for Jacoby Myers, despite the trade requests swirling around. The Raiders seem determined to evaluate talent thoroughly before making final calls, and Myers still fits into their 53-man plan as a key contributor. The coaching staff is balancing development projects with proven veterans, ensuring that the offense can adapt to injuries or unforeseen circumstances. With 6 wide receivers projected to make the cut, it's clear that versatility and readiness to play multiple roles on the field are prioritized. Tight ends are next, and here the Raiders are leaning on experience and potential. Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer are locks, while Ian Thomas rounds out the group despite some concerns about drops in concentration during preseason. This team ran the most 11 personnel sets in the league, favoring 1 tight end and 3 wide receivers. But maintaining flexibility with the personnel allows them to mix in 2 tight end formations when needed. The strategic decision-making around player deployment, especially in tight end-heavy schemes, shows a level of foresight aimed at optimizing every snap. The offensive line presents a different set of challenges. Adjustments were made to accommodate the extra receiver, and the team decided to let Lockie Tossie go from the main roster. Despite his potential, his position as a guard and the abundance of talent elsewhere pushed him to the practice squad route. This move reflects the balancing act the Raiders constantly play, maximizing depth while maintaining the right mix of experience and upside on the active roster. Dar Munford remains a centerpiece, even if some fans question the reasoning. The front office's faith in his abilities highlights the importance of trust in player evaluation and coaching alignment. Defensively, the Raiders made some surprising cuts, including Andre Carter. His absence is notable, but the team's approach seems to be focusing on youth, potential, and positional flexibility. Tonka Hemingway, listed as a defensive end but versatile enough to slide inside as a tackle, exemplifies this approach. The defensive line is expected to rotate heavily, using both 4- and 5-man fronts to create mismatches and leverage speed versus size, depending on the opponent. Thomas Booker's addition to the interior provides another layer of depth, and the Raiders are betting that his development trajectory continues upward, potentially making him one of the best defensive tackles on the roster in the near future. Linebackers have also faced scrutiny, with cuts already made to players like Amari Gaynor and Jalen Smith. Key contributors like Jamal Adams, Jermaine Pratt, Landon Roberts, and Devin White appear locked in, but the competition in the middle of the pack is fierce. Cody Lindenberg, a 7th-round pick, is on the bubble, while Tommy Eichenberg's steadier play gives him the edge for a roster spot. 5 linebackers will likely be retained, leaving room for flexibility in the secondary. The secondary itself is full of question marks. Cornerback acquisitions didn't go as planned, as Rasul Douglas chose Miami over Las Vegas, leaving the Raiders to lean on players like Darren Holmes and Greedy Vance. Vance, in particular, has shown consistent improvement and represents the kind of developmental gamble that the Raiders have historically been willing to take. 5 cornerbacks are projected to make the team, but their roles may be fluid depending on injuries or matchup-specific schemes. Safety remains a critical position, and while some injuries complicate decisions, players like Jeremy Chin, Isaiah Palmau, and Lonnie Johnson Jr. remain on track for roster spots. The coaching staff has experimented with nickel and big safety packages all offseason, showing a commitment to versatility and maximizing matchups. Chris Smith, despite a challenging preseason, has demonstrated resilience under pressure, earning a spot due to his ability to adapt and handle adversity, a key trait Pete Carroll values highly. Finally, special teams continue to be an underappreciated but crucial component of the Raiders' roster planning. With reliable contributors like Carlson, A.J. Cole, Jacob Bobb, and Moyer in place, the team ensures consistency in kicking and long snapping while also maintaining flexibility for return duties. Players like Trey Tucker and Dylan Lowy offer critical depth across multiple units, reinforcing the Raiders' philosophy of maximizing every roster spot for both primary and supplemental roles. As we look across the entire roster, what becomes clear is that the Raiders are making every move with an eye toward balance, versatility, and long-term development. The coaching staff and front office are aligning closely to make strategic decisions that blend proven talent with high-upside developmental players. This approach is designed not just to survive in a competitive National Football League season, but to build a foundation capable of sustained success. Defensive tackles like Thomas Booker and Adam Butler provide a mix of strength, quickness, and disruption up the middle. Booker, a relatively new addition, has shown flashes of dominance and a high ceiling for growth. When paired with Butler, the interior line suddenly becomes a wall that can collapse pockets and control the line of scrimmage. Tonka Hemingway, listed as a defensive end but capable of sliding inside, adds a unique layer of flexibility, allowing the coaching staff to mix formations on a play-by-play basis. You can imagine scenarios where the Raiders employ a 4-man front, then switch to 5-man, keeping offensive coordinators guessing. It's exactly the kind of chess match that Pete Carroll and John Spytek excel at designing. Moving to the linebackers, the Raiders have a core group of studs that anchor the defense. Jamal Adams brings leadership, sideline-to-sideline range, and a knack for making game-changing plays. Devin White offers explosive speed and tackling ability, while Jermaine Pratt and Landon Roberts provide reliability and football intelligence. Behind them, the competition is fierce. Tommy Eichenberg has earned the trust of the coaching staff through consistency and versatility, while Cody Lindenberg, despite showing promise as a 7th-round pick, is facing the brutal reality of NFL roster limitations. 5 linebackers is likely the sweet spot, leaving just enough depth to cover injuries while maintaining flexibility in the secondary. Speaking of the secondary, cornerback is a position that's always under a microscope, and for good reason. Las Vegas is looking for corners who can cover, tackle, and anticipate plays at a high level. Darren Holmes is one of the pieces they've committed to keeping, and his ability to play both outside and in nickel formations gives the team options. Greedy Vance is another player who has quietly impressed throughout off-season practices and preseason games. His growth mirrors the Raiders' philosophy: develop talent over time, while maintaining the potential to impact games immediately if called upon. Kyer Elam, the young corner, remains a cornerstone of the unit, but but it's players like Vance who demonstrate the depth and adaptability that the Raiders want in their secondary. Safety is another crucial piece. Jeremy Chin, Isaiah Palmau, and Lonnie Johnson Jr. are the key players, with Johnson Jr. navigating injury concerns but remaining a candidate for a roster spot due to his size, athleticism, and versatility in multiple coverage schemes. Terrell Edmonds has also been performing well in a role similar to Johnson Jr.'s big nickel position, adding a layer of depth and flexibility. The coaching staff is clearly designing packages that maximize matchups while keeping the best athletes on the field. Chris Smith, despite a less-than-stellar preseason, has earned his spot with his resilience and ability to rise under pressure, which is exactly the mindset Pete Carroll looks for in players who may face adversity on game day. Special teams, while often overlooked, continues to play a vital role in the Raiders' roster construction. Reliable contributors like Daniel Carlson, A.J. Cole, Jacob Bobb, and Moyer ensure consistency in kicking and long snapping, while return specialists such as Trey Tucker and Dylan Lowy provide the kind of versatility that allows coaches to make in-game adjustments seamlessly. Players who can contribute in multiple phases of the game offer more than just depth. They're critical to sustaining performance across an entire season where injuries are inevitable. Now, let's talk about the philosophy behind all these decisions, because the Raiders are not just building a roster, they're building a culture. Every signing, every cut, every decision about practice, squad versus active roster is made with an eye toward long-term competitiveness. The coaching staff is balancing immediate needs with developmental potential, ensuring that each player has a defined role that contributes to team goals. This approach is evident in the way they've handled both the offensive and defensive rosters. Veterans like Max Crosby or Jamal Adams provide stability and leadership, while younger players like Thomas Booker, Greedy Vance, and Dylan Lai bring energy, growth potential, and the ability to step into bigger roles if needed. Quarterback depth, while often discussed, is also a strategic decision. Kenny Pickett's acquisition was a clear upgrade, but the choice to move on from Aiden O'Connell wasn't just about talent. It was about roster efficiency, injury management, and giving the coaching staff confidence in the backups. In football, the margin for error is slim, and having a reliable quarterback ready to step in at any moment can be the difference between winning and losing critical games. The Raiders' wide receiver room also reflects this philosophy. Amari Cooper brings experience, reliable hands, and a proven track record. Jacoby Myers remains a part of the roster equation, illustrating the Raiders' willingness to balance veteran presence with young talent. Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer at tight end, along with Ian Thomas, ensure that the team has options in multiple formations. The choice to prioritize one tight end sets while keeping flexibility for two tight end packages shows the level of thought put into offensive schematics. Offensive line decisions mirror this balance of present needs and future potential. While some fans may question the retention of certain players, such as Dar Munford, the coaching staff and front office see traits, size, athleticism, and adaptability that are critical in maintaining both performance and depth. Laki Tassi's move to the practice squad ensures he continues developing while giving the Raiders flexibility to adjust the active roster based on injuries or game-specific needs. Every roster move demonstrates a commitment to adaptability, versatility, and strategic foresight. What's particularly exciting is watching how all these pieces interact on game day. Max Crosby on the edge, paired with a rotating defensive line and linebackers who can cover, blitz, or fill gaps seamlessly, creates a dynamic front seven capable of adjusting to any offensive scheme. Meanwhile, the secondary is designed to be both physical and cerebral, with players who can anticipate routes, support in the run game, and adapt to rapid shifts in offensive strategy. Safety depth ensures that, even with injuries, the defensive integrity remains intact, allowing coordinators to deploy players in a variety of schemes without sacrificing coverage quality. Offensively, having a mix of reliable wide receivers, versatile tight ends, and a running back room capable of both rushing and receiving allows the Raiders to maintain unpredictability. Players like Raheem Mostert and Dylan Lai provide situational value, contributing both as playmakers and on special teams. The offensive line, while sometimes a point of debate among fans, offers a blend of experience and developmental potential that allows the team to handle both pass protection and run blocking efficiently. Every detail of roster construction, from practice squad strategy to active game day personnel, reflects a calculated approach designed to maximize team performance across all facets of football. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The sports world was shaken to its very core this morning when whispers began to circulate through Las Vegas, Arlington, and nearly every corner of the National Football League that the Raiders had managed to pull off what many insiders are already calling the coup of the decade. The rumor spreading like wildfire is that Micah Parsons, the superstar linebacker of the Dallas Cowboys, is on the verge of trading his iconic star-emblazoned helmet for the silver and black of the Raiders. Reporters close to both organizations have suggested that while nothing has been signed or sealed, the conversations are advanced enough that executives are treating this as more than speculation. Fans flooded social media with disbelief, shock, and uncontainable excitement, with some Cowboy loyalists claiming this would be an unforgivable betrayal, while Raider Nation, always hungry for a return of glory, celebrated as though the announcement were already official. The sheer audacity of such a move has left analysts scrambling, because the Raiders are not typically seen as major players in negotiations of this magnitude. If true, this would not just be about strengthening a defense. It would signal a bold declaration that the Raiders are once again aiming to be feared across the league. As the whispers continue to spread, it is important to understand the context behind this sensational development. Micah Parsons has been more than just a defensive powerhouse. He has become a symbol of the modern Cowboys, representing speed, versatility, and the type of relentless play that made Dallas once again relevant in championship conversations. For the Raiders to lure him away, it would not only require immense financial resources, but also a convincing pitch about the direction of their franchise. Sources suggest that Las Vegas ownership, determined to elevate the team's profile in a crowded sports entertainment market, has been seeking a transcendent figure to electrify fans and set the tone for a new era. Parsons, with his rare combination of skill, charisma, and star power, fits that vision perfectly. This possibility has stirred debates across television panels and online forums, where skeptics question how Dallas could allow their defensive cornerstone to even entertain discussions with another team. Yet, the very fact these talks are surfacing indicates that either dissatisfaction or opportunity has opened the door, and in professional sports, such doors are never left unknocked for long when a hungry franchise is determined. While Raider Nation is understandably ecstatic at the possibility, the move raises as many questions as it answers. Would Parsons truly want to leave the storied tradition of the Cowboys, with all their historic weight and global brand appeal, to step into the unpredictable identity of the Raiders? Some insiders believe that the glitz and glamour of Las Vegas, combined with the promise of being the centerpiece of a franchise eager to re-establish its dominance, could be too tempting to resist. Others argue that this could be more a strategic negotiation tactic, with Parsons and his representatives leveraging Raider interest to push Dallas toward an even more lucrative contract extension. Nevertheless, whispers from within league circles suggest this is more than posturing. Observers point to recent Raider defensive struggles and the franchise's desperation to find a generational anchor as reasons to believe they would break the bank to secure Parsons. For fans, it already feels real enough to imagine him sacking rival quarterbacks in Allegiant Stadium, his presence turning the Raiders into a contender overnight and reshaping the balance of power in the AFC. For the Cowboys, however, the thought of losing Parsons borders on unthinkable. Since his arrival in Dallas, he has not only dominated on the field, but also galvanized the locker room and energized a fan base accustomed to heartache in recent decades. Jerry Jones has long been known as a fiercely loyal owner who rarely lets his stars slip away. Yet time and again, business realities and personal ambitions have rewritten the narratives of even the most iconic players. The Cowboys have invested heavily in their offense, from Dak Prescott to C.D. Lamb, and some insiders suggest that tough choices must inevitably be made when balancing the books. Still, many argue that Parsons is the last player the franchise could afford to lose, because his very presence symbolizes hope and competitiveness in a conference dominated by powerhouse teams like the Eagles, 49ers, and now, perhaps, the Raiders. If this transfer were to occur, it would not simply represent a player changing teams. It would stand as a seismic shift in the league, a reminder that loyalty has its limits when opportunity, ambition, and financial power collide on the grand stage of professional football. The coming days will determine whether this shocking rumor solidifies into reality or fades as another tantalizing piece of off-season chatter. What remains clear is that the buzz has already achieved something remarkable. It has reignited discussions about the Raiders' ambitions and the Cowboys' vulnerabilities, forcing fans, analysts, and executives to reconsider what the future might hold. Raider Nation has long thirsted for a star capable of restoring the mystique of the silver and black, and Parsons' name now hovers as that very possibility, whether grounded in truth or inflated by speculation. Cowboys fans, meanwhile, brace themselves for either relief or heartbreak, uncertain whether their beloved defensive juggernaut will continue wearing the star or step into the desert spotlight. Whatever the outcome, this rumor underscores the unpredictable, almost theatrical nature of the NFL, where fortunes change with a phone call, negotiations unfold behind closed doors, and careers are defined not just by what happens on the field, but also by the stunning, dramatic decisions made off it. If the Raiders truly land Micah Parsons, they will not just have shocked America. They will have rewritten the narrative of a league always hungry for its next great story. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.